from a university actually dedicated to saving our precious resource of water, to digital oil fields that are transforming America's oil industry. We'll see how tackling the risk of healthcare is changing our world of business, how radical new technology is eradicating mosquito-borne diseases, and find out where all that digital information on the cloud is really being stored. It's all coming up on Earth. I'm John Holden. Welcome to Earth. Our first stop here is the oil fields of North Dakota. It's a beautiful and remote place to work, but today oil workers no longer need to make that long, lonely trek just to get here because the oil fields are becoming digital and can be managed from virtually anywhere on Earth. Let's take a look. Today there's been a technology revolution affecting nearly every facet of our lives. But until now, one industry has been left behind: the remote oil fields of America.
We think that this nation has the energy resources to really be more secure defense-wise and national security-wise by producing our own native energy sources. We've got the oil and gas and the coal and the geology and the wind and the solar to tie this all together. But you cannot make those things work in synergy without the technology. It is not possible.
Today, those innovations and new technologies are showing up in the oil fields, like here in the Bakken Basin of northwest North Dakota, in what is being described as the new automated or digital oil field. And its environmental benefits are transforming the industry.
Every well that gets drilled and built, it takes people to manage that, and getting resources to come to North Dakota is kind of a tough thing. With automation, we're able to do more with less, and the day-to-day hands-on people on these well pads can be a lot more efficient with their day-to-day tasks by using the automation that's provided.
Oil and gas companies that are building new wells and maintaining existing wells had always wanted to automate, but we're not sure how to get there. What was needed was one entity that could specialize in serving the oil fields and harnessing this native energy, from electrification and automation to communication and storm restoration. Native Energy Solutions provided just that.
It's exciting for us because it's what we do. It's who we are. We like to take new technologies and existing technologies and help the oil and gas companies solve problems. Problems for safety, problems for environmental safety. That's what they need us for, and that's what we do.
Through automation, we've been able to deliver to our customers that ability so that they can visit these locations from a remote location and see operating pressures, see operating temperatures, have the ability for a site to shut itself down when it gets to these high-level conditions.
The end result is a reliable and safe automated environment, even in the most remote locations, at oil fields in North Dakota, Montana, New Mexico, Texas, Wyoming, and Oklahoma. It means even the most common threats to well performance can be addressed instantaneously from a control center computer, or even a desktop or smartphone.
The efficiencies that are gained through automation technology are huge. Now, with the ability to remotely monitor a location, one guy can sit at a desk and watch 50 wells at one time in real time.
You still need an eyeball. The efficiencies go up with automation, and we're able to do more with less.
We've seen automation in really all phases of our operations, from drilling to completions to production. And in some ways I think we're scratching the surface of what it can do, and we've been testing different leak detection automation technologies, and we're able now to see a leak remotely from Houston And as soon as we see it and alarms go off, we have the confidence that we can shut the line in and then dispatch somebody to go troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. But if you didn't have that automation, you just wouldn't have that level of confidence in being able to spot and detect those leaks.
I think what excites me the most about it is the fact that we can take technology and improve how they produce oil, how they do it safely, and how they can use technology to be environmentally conscious. They can see and control their processes. For us to be able to participate that is exciting.
We went virtually overnight from 3,000 wells to 10,000 wells, and we've got 14,000 wells producing now. We anticipate by the time drilling's completed here, we're going to be at 60,000 wells. And without that technology to track everything in the field and from the database, it would be impossible.
You know, we all want to be able to harness the energy that is native to our planet and to do it safely and sustainably. The digital oil field may very well be the best way to do it in some of the most hard-to-reach locations on this earth. Our next stop? You know, we all want a healthy planet to live a healthy life, but did you know there's a natural enemy out there that's affecting the lives of millions of people, and it's flying around us every day? But in Brazil, new technology has just been developed to help eradicate this threat in a most natural way. Let's take a look. The mosquito. You may wonder how such a small insect could be a human threat, but over 1 million people die from mosquito-borne diseases every year, and hundreds of millions more experience pain and suffering from devastating illnesses that are transmitted by mosquitoes, including dengue fever, yellow fever, and the Zika virus.
If you look at someplace like World War I and World War II, the total combined number of deaths, U.S. troop losses in those two wars, this mosquito kills more than that every year. More than 725,000 a year. People die of this little insect bite. Much of that is malaria, but it's also chikungunya. I saw challenges with Zika. There are other diseases out there. Dengue, 400 million cases a year, 25,000 deaths a year.
And the primary mosquito responsible for these deadly viral diseases? The Aedes aegypti, for which it takes only one bite from the female Aedes mosquito for the virus to be transmitted.
Insecticides don't reach them anymore. They develop resistance to those things. Vaccines, they are not available for all diseases. So basically, fighting this mosquito and the diseases that it transmits, it is one of the challenges that we have.
The big problem is this dangerous mosquito is primarily an urban dweller. It loves to live where we humans live, like here in Piracicaba, Brazil, where dengue fever was rampant until a radical new technology was introduced in the mosquito itself.
In Piracicaba, Oxitec has developed and released only male mosquitoes in the community of Piracicaba, in the center of Piracicaba. And that has been a tremendous impact in the community, generating better protection for the lives that in the neighborhoods that we release those mosquitoes. This technology, which contains a self-limiting chain, does not make those females that hatch eggs to become adult. And that's reduced the population of mosquito in Piracicaba in more than 80% on the neighborhoods that we release it.
In the lab, we give them an antidote, which makes them reach adulthood, but in nature, once it is released, it can't find it. It is basically a weapon to search for females in the nature and avoid them from reproducing. So the next generation of mosquitoes will be faded.
Here at the Oxitec production facility, over 60 million male Aedes mosquitoes are being produced each week to be released in specific cities where there is a mosquito problem, to deploy innovative, friendly Aedes male mosquitoes in the fight against the dangerous disease-carrying female. Unlike other genetic approaches, the friendly Aedes male mosquitoes die along with their offspring, significantly lowering the mosquito population and leaving no ecological footprint.
I release males in the field. Those males find the females and mate with them. And all the progeny out of those two mosquitoes will die before becoming adults. So we reduce drastically the population of wild mosquitoes.
So it's very cost efficient, very effective, and we can track exactly how we're doing. If you ask pesticide companies, for example, how well they're suppressing mosquitoes, it's very difficult for them to tell you that. For our technology, we can tell you very precisely how we're doing, not only in the city overall, but specifically on a city block.
It's all done without an ounce of pesticide that could harm other insects or us humans. And it's a smarter, safer way to fight this mosquito-borne disease while still protecting our environment. And now it's time for us to fly off. Our next stop, Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Atlanta Falcons and the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You know, football is a powerful spectator sport in America, and for its players, one that certainly involves the need for effective and efficient medical care. But in our dysfunctional healthcare system today, well, the solution may lie instead in managing health risk, not just for football players, mind you, but for so many others as well. Let's take a look. Any professional sports organization has a significant investment in its players. An athlete's ability to perform at the highest level depends on their health and well-being. But the health risks for these players is also very high in what has become a broken healthcare system in America.
We need to find the best expertise and best advice and best strategy as to one, for all of our players and associates, that we have the ultimate health care suitable for them in the event of an accident. So where we want to make sure they're getting the best health care, the best quality doctors, the best service. So partnering with somebody to help strategize towards that healthcare system is key for us.
The same concerns can be found in America's heartland with a nonprofit organization, Cal Farley's historic Boys Ranch in Amarillo, Texas. A nonprofit organization with over 500 employees dedicated to helping kids at risk.
Well, I think our business is fraught with risk. We're taking children out of bad situations, financial stress in the family, substance abuse, single home, those kind of things. And we bring them to Boys Ranch, and we can actually take a 5-year-old child and raise them, graduate them from high school and send them to college. And we don't take government dollars, and we don't take a fee for service. And so the well-being of staff is very important too. And so healthy staff that don't have a lot of financial stress burdening them, that trickles down to the children. It makes just a healthier environment overall.
This wide contrast in managing the challenges associated with medical delivery in America, from a nonprofit like Cal Farley's Boys Ranch to an iconic brand like the Atlanta Falcons, represents a critical need to redefine how medical risks and expenses are managed today.
The cost of medical in America is one of the very few things that corporations don't know the price before they buy what they buy. They walk into a process where they know they're going to spend a lot of money on medical. The Falcons know they're going to spend a lot of money taking care of their players. Cal Farley's Boys Ranch know that they're going to spend a lot of money delivering employee benefits to their employees. But they don't know the price, and worse, they don't even have a seat at the table as to what they're going to pay for that medical care.
One group, the Fairley Group, has been reshaping the risk management insurance industry for over a decade, helping its clients, who operate in over 100 countries, reduce the cost of medical services, even in an environment where medical costs are consistently rising.
We want our clients to have access to a medical system that works for them and that is fairly priced and that is transparent. The reason we're different is we look at risk and don't necessarily look at insurance as the solution or the only solution or the primary solution. We look at ways to manage the cost of risk in whatever that unique environment demands and asks and needs.
The resulting simple risk management solutions are ending up saving companies considerable time and money and a more pleasant patient experience.
You know, the Fairley Group and working with Alex Fairley, one thing of where have been able to do is create a platform for us to find the best healthcare providers, and working with our team doctors is the key focus. But then beyond that, if they need physical therapy or just getting back to work quality of 100%, they are able to find those opportunities for us to find the best doctors that we need. We've had a great partnership over that time period of where we've continued to be able to provide the best service to our associates and our players when they do need medical service.
The healthcare piece of this is very expensive and it's very complex. And I see the Fairley Group as good interventionists. And one of the things that I've appreciated them is the fact that they have challenged the status quo.
We look at risk and don't necessarily look at insurance as the solution or the only solution or the primary solution. We look at ways to manage the cost of risk in a way that's practical and makes pretty common sense. And when we get to do that for our clients so that they get to spend their time being who they are, whether they're a football team or whether they're taking care of disadvantaged kids, it's the best feeling that we could have.
Tackling problems before they arise would be a touchdown for any business. And yes, risk management innovation may very well be the future for having a healthy business on this planet. Our next stop, Tempe, Arizona. Nowadays our smartphone connects us to just about everything we need to know in life, and it's all stored on something called the cloud. But have you ever wondered where all that information on the cloud is really stored? It means a massive amount of data information and the infrastructure and cabling to connect to it, as you're about to see. Today, we're in the midst of a digital revolution that is impacting every aspect of our lives, from healthcare and financial services to video gaming and social media. Yet this technology push is still only in its infancy, as the world constantly searches for more ways to store all this information in what has come to be known as the cloud.
Well, the cloud's actually an amazing thing. In such a short period of time, it's become an essential service for all of us. When you think about it, it's really just infrastructure and a delivery system for on-demand, ubiquitous computing. It's at our fingertips 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
It means secure storage of all that data and information in large-scale data centers around the world, like this new 2 million square foot facility in Chandler, Arizona, one of over 40 data centers operated by Cyrus.
At Cyrus, we believe building to scale is the key. So our ability to stand up a data center in less than 6 months from the time we get a permit to the time it's commissioned really makes us stand out in the industry. We have 81 acres of land out here we've been developing for the last 5 years. Well, you don't realize it, but when we're standing here on the data center floor, we've actually passed through 7 distinct layers of security. Everything from the guards in the gates out front, the biometric readers, just to get into the hall. But each one of these cages that you see around us is an individual customer's suite containing their servers, their applications, and their networks. The only way into that is if you're a customer and you've been pre-cleared to enter. So security is incredibly tight in these data centers. The other aspect is the internet can't go down. You have to have access to this information at all times. All of this infrastructure and all of this knowledge has to physically be stored somewhere. So when you think of the clouds, when you think of Cyrus, we are the sky for the cloud.
But in order to use this vast database of information, you still need to connect to it. It requires an infrastructure of technology, communication, and cabling needs to not only retrieve the information, but also connect to it to the world and our involvement in it.
From a support standpoint, there's millions and millions and millions of miles of fiber optic infrastructure predominantly supporting all the data traffic across the U.S., across the world. It's a very complex thing when we talk about a data center with millions and millions of connection points, somebody has to manage that infrastructure that supports those points of entries for that data to flow correctly. We like to say that, our technology infrastructure makes life easier.
As a leading architect of technology infrastructure, IES Communications has built some of the largest and most sophisticated and secure data centers in the U.S. and has been providing global connectivity in data centers of all kinds, even in artificial intelligence platforms, to help change everything from farming to traffic planning. Today, not a day goes by that the majority of the population does not use a device or service that IES has connected.
Some of these large applications that we use in social media are buildings that are 1 million square feet, and there might be 5 or 10 of them across the United States by each application. The infrastructure of the data center is probably the most important just because all of these computers need to talk to each other, and they're connected through fiber optics and copper cabling. That's the infrastructure that IES builds in these data centers. So it's very important because every day people are using the cloud and the speed of the cloud to get that information to their daily lives.
And an integral part of this data infrastructure is constant training and education and community involvement.
For us, it's mission critical because that is what our customers expect from us to come in and provide to them, is that we are going to install it correctly, that everybody will have no break in their service in anything that they're trying to access, whether it's a photo that they posted 5 years ago or to do a banking transaction. So we make sure that we can get wherever they are and be able to do on-the-job classroom. We have e-learning courses that people can take to stay fresh on everything. And also, it's technology, so it's changing every day, and we need to be current on what those needs are.
It means educating the public and continually adapting technology to make data storage smaller and more efficient, to reduce the carbon footprints of large-scale data centers and office buildings, while at the same time increasing the amount of digital information that can be stored for all of us to use in those data centers that have come to be known as the cloud. Water. It's a finite resource that's rapidly being depleted. We can't just make new water, but we can recycle and reuse it. Well, here in Naperville, Illinois, technology is actually changing the global conversation on how we can protect this natural resource. Let's take a look. Water. It's a natural resource that life on Earth needs for its very existence, and our access to fresh water is critical for the health of people around the world. But it's a resource in peril. By the year 2030, our demand for fresh water is expected to outstrip supply by 40%.
The lack of fresh water is a huge concern. We know by 2030 that we're going to have 1 billion more people on the planet. There really is no new water. All the water that we have on Earth is already here, and as we need to consume more and more of it, the Earth isn't making any more. So there's just going to be a huge gap. So it is a very, very big concern for all of us.
So what if that rate of water recycling were to change? If it were to double or triple, the impact could be tremendous. But we all need to help drive this shift from water as a consumable good to water as a valuable, reusable asset, especially in the world of business.
Businesses have a huge role to play in saving fresh water. One of the problems that exists in industry today is that many of the manufacturing processes were built on the assumption that water is plentiful and cheap. And unfortunately, that's just not the case anymore. So industry needs to learn how to re-engineer their processes to minimize their fresh water use.
As a global company that specializes in water management and energy technologies, Ecolab and its water management business, Nalco Water, is helping change industry's way of thinking when it comes to water usage, and it's having a huge impact on the bottom line.
We're trying to help customers and business and industry and hotels and restaurants in general to look at the opportunity to preserve water in a way that makes business sense, because we're helping our customers produce more products, better products at a lower cost while preserving the environment. And that's what we're trying to demonstrate and convince our customers that it's the right thing to do.
This emphasis on water conservation has reached a whole new level here on the Nalco Water campus with the opening of Water University, a high-tech learning environment that teaches businesses how to effectively be more efficient by saving water.
What we like a lot with the idea of the university is that it's bringing expertise together. That's where great minds are coming together to try to understand the problem and find solutions. So the education component is then afterwards sharing that knowledge, naturally. You have courses that are lasting from a few days to a few weeks. The longest is 6 months, actually, in a specific topic where you can really become an expert at managing water in a specific industry or for a specific problem.
This really is the epicenter of education on how to reduce, reuse, and recycle water. So we're working on what are the cutting-edge technologies and methods and best practices that industry can adopt to reduce their freshwater usage.
And technology is the driving factor at Water University, including the innovative 3D TRASAR technology that is providing a holistic solution to water management in businesses worldwide.
We have developed a smart technology called 3D TRASAR. It is our core platform to monitor and control water systems. We're helping customers all over the world manage water risk. A perfect example would be a Microsoft data center in San Antonio, Texas, where we leverage 3D TRASAR, our smart technology, to help them save 60 million gallons of water per year, while at the same time reducing their costs by $140,000.
So what we're hoping to do at Nalco Water is really help educate industry on how to preserve that water so it's available for all of us. So while we work with industry, we know that we're impacting everybody on the planet with the work that we do here.
We see that as a beginning. We know that the world has roughly 1 billion people not having access to clean water. That's why our ambition, and it's just the first step, as a next step, is to help our partners, our customers, save or preserve 300 billion gallons of water, which is the annual drinking need equivalent of 1 billion people out there.
You know, fresh water accounts for only 2.5% of all of Earth's water, so it's good to know innovative companies have found a way to, well, grow a business to meet this demand, while ensuring clean water will always be around for future generations.